You are listening to the Intrepid radio program with Scotty Roberts. Intelligent Talk.
Well, happy Tuesday evening, folks. This is Scotty Roberts. You're listening to the Intrepid radio program right here on the Odyssey Radio Network. That's ODYSY1.com. For all of those of you who are not there and just want to hear the audio, you can also go over to Odyssey One, see the whole lineup for the day and the week. You can fill all your hours with great radio listening at Odyssey Radio. ODYSY1.com. You can also, if you're listening to just the audio stream, you can come over and you can join the simulcast over on my YouTube channel. I get messages popping up on my computer as I'm talking, and it distracts me. I'd like to think I'm not that ADHD, that I'm not so easily distracted, but hey, let's go ride bikes. Never mind. Old joke. You can go over and see the simulcast over in video on my YouTube channel at youtube.com/Mr. Scotty Roberts. Join the rest of the Intrepheads over there, and you can join the conversation. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's better. Sometimes it's off topic, sometimes it's on topic. So come on over, share your thoughts, join the crowd, become an Intrepid over at my YouTube channel. And let's move into what we're going to talk about today. I haven't thought of a lot of icebreakers today or ways to say, hey, let's get you rolling on something before we get into this. I got nothing. All I got is politics and current events, and I don't want to get into those here. We spent yesterday talking about the whole Trump-Hitler thing, and I don't want to go there again. There's still more to be said on that issue, but I don't want to make this show about that type of stuff. I only address it when it really rankles me or when it's something I want to talk about. And by the way, we saw the impeachment hearings start today. You don't know how badly I want to talk about that, but I'll save that for talking with Rocky over on the Situation Room, which is also over on OdysseyRadio.com and Mojo50 Radio. And that's 1 hour after this show ends, so just under 2 hours from now. Rocky and I will tackle some of those issues. So let's move back into this whole thing about Gnosticism. And you might go, oh, Gnosticism, I'm not a Gnostic. Why should this appeal to me? Well, I think it's appealing on many different levels. Gnostic philosophy is extreme sports for the mind. It's for those who really relish the rush of exhilaration as they kind of free fall into uncertainty. Because you know what? If you've been part of Western tradition, part of Western Christianity, or Orthodox Christianity, or any of the branches that stem off of Orthodox Christianity, you're going to find that you've had a very limited view, a literalist history that locks you down into legalism and locks you down into this is the only way to think about things. And we've seen by over and over again over the last month, looking into the history of early Christianity, how some of these things were just manufactured to create a hierarchy in the Orthodox Church and a way to fear people into believing what they believe so the church could have power over them. Now that's become more watered down in some of your Protestant religions or denominations that are out there. But for the most part, when you start looking at that and rejecting that, and saying there's got to be something better, you put yourself into a bit of a free fall on a spiritual level, on a mental level. And so this is where I'm talking about. There's an exhilaration here to the free fall. But at the same time, you want to make sure, if there is a universal truth out there, that you don't let go of the things that are universal truths. And so if God exists, if God had his only begotten Son, if there was only one way to know God, one way to end up in an eternal life with him, as opposed to eternal darkness and fire and hell and all those things that separate you from the love of God, is that manufactured by literalist Christianity, or is that something that is so? And that's something we'll never prove. That's something you have to learn to accept by faith. So you have to take a step back and say, why do I want to believe these things? What is it about these that rings true? And so the buzz of alert concentration is required. As you scale the mountain of imagination, you got to seek a higher view. The thrill of anticipation as you wait to ride a swell of insight as it surges up from the depths. Always hoping for the big one. We always want that big wave. Audrey could attest to that, the surfer girl that she is. Gnostic philosophy isn't safely theoretical. It's alive and it's dangerous. And dangerous, I mean by that extreme sport evaluation of what it does to the mind, what it does to your spirituality. It's a profound exploration of the great mysteries of life and death. An heroic adventure to excite the soul. It's the casting off from the safe harbor and setting your sails to the trade winds, to explore, to dream, discover. That's what this is about. And the big question is it safe to do that on a spiritual level? Are we turning our backs on literalist Christianity because that's the right thing to do? Or are we doing it because we're just rebellious in spirit? So what's the real answers? This is what we're on a quest to find out. Some people dismiss all philosophy as abstract and irrelevant. But Gnostic philosophy can utterly transform our understanding of who we are and what it is to be alive. What could be more concrete and relevant than that? If you contrast living in a literalist, legalistic system versus living in something that is open and free for you to explore, you're either accepting that God says, I own you and you're mine to do with as I please, and therefore you will believe this way, and by the way, God's never told us that. It's the church that's told us that that's what God tells us. That's what the old scriptures say. The question is, are we to be free of that and move beyond that? At the heart of Gnostic philosophy is the outrageous claim that if we experience a state of gnosis, of knowing something, we're going to recognize that life is a dream. This idea challenges most of our fundamental assumptions about who we are and what life is. At first, it might seem even more insane than the most insane of liberalist craptrap that's out there. Literalist, I'm sorry, not liberalist. The Christian Gnostic Theodosius acknowledged this. He said, I know that the teachings of Gnosis are a laughing stock to most people. Some are startled by them, as when a light suddenly illuminates the darkness of a drinking party. But the truly blessed are those who rouse themselves from sleep and raise their eyes to truth. In a way, I'll use an example of something that's kind of funny to some people out there, but it's growing in its intensity. Paranormal investigation, looking for ghosts, making contact with ghosts. Most people, if you tell them, I've caught voices on an EVP, I've experienced, I've seen, I've did this, you're a bit of a kind of a crackpot. Until you get that person to come and experience that with you. And when they're ready to experience it, they do, and they can't deny what they see until they get further away and they get the fight or flight goes on in their mind, and they have to find some way to justify what they've seen as not being real. So is Gnosis just another mad ancient theory that's out there? The idea of knowing things, of accepting the hidden mysteries and knowing them? No, it's not. Gnosis isn't a theory at all. It's not really even a theology. It's an experience. The Gnostics weren't trying to persuade us to adopt their opinion that life is a dream. They want to use philosophical ideas to wake us up. To be truly awake, not woke, truly awake, so that we see for ourselves the true nature of reality. The pagan Gnostic Plotinus teaches this. The aim of philosophy is the same as someone who wishes to shake off the fantasies of a dream and bring to an awakened state the awareness which is creating them. And the job of a Gnostic philosopher is to wake people to the vision. And this is what we want to do right now. This is what all of us should want to do right now. This is what I want to do right now. And trust me, folks, I'm not at any kind of level of having attained all the knowledge of this. This is exciting to me because it takes me on a path that helps me cope with and deal with and struggle with all the things I've had problem with literalist theology. And so this is what we want to do. But before any of us begins a journey of awakening, it's important to clear up some common misunderstandings, which might prevent you from grasping the essential simplicity of Gnostic teachings. Find out if this is for me. Find out if this is for you. You got to look through this stuff. And when Gnostic philosophy says that life is a dream, we aren't dismissing the literal world, the tangible, real world around us as an irrelevant fantasy. The world is a beautiful place. It's beyond words to describe sometimes. Gnosis isn't about rejecting life as some sort of pernicious illusion. It isn't about denying the horrors and the wonders of existence. It is simply seeing things as they are. And this is not an experience of detached indifference to life. It's appreciating how magical and mysterious existence really is. How magical and mysterious your existence really is. Personalizing that. It's when we're unconsciously engrossed in the life dream that it becomes a nightmare. But when we wake up, we find ourselves in love with life in all its awesome, multifarious splendor. And by the way, I don't use the word love to be to morph into that kumbaya-ish thing about life. I said, oh, I just love, and so everything is beautiful. It's not that. And I'm going to explain this. When we say that gnosis is an experience of awakening, we don't mean it as the same as waking up from a dream in the morning when the dream world disappears and it's replaced by the real world, the tangible world. The experience of gnosis doesn't entail entering some supernatural state in which your everyday life no longer exists. It doesn't involve strange visions or paranormal abilities, even though I used a paranormal example. Gnosis is a natural state, comparable to the experience of lucid dreaming. And lucid dreaming, you know what that is? It's the experience of dreaming while you're sleeping, but being consciously recognizing with your mind that you're dreaming. You determine that as you go into the sleep state. I'm going to consciously be aware of what I'm dreaming. Gnosis is the experience of, like lucid dreaming, lucid living. It's being conscious that life is kind of a dream right now. And when you dream lucidly, the dream doesn't stop, but you're no longer unconsciously engrossed in the dream. In the same way, when you experience lucid living, the life dream doesn't stop. Life is still tangible. It still goes on around you. But you're no longer unconsciously engrossed in the life dream. You realize that there's something else going on here. Let us make this absolutely clear. I want to be very clear on this. I'm not suggesting that the person you presently presume yourself to be is imagining the world around you. I'm not going there at all. Quite the opposite, as a matter of fact. I'm suggesting that the person you appear to be is part of the life dream. When you dream lucidly, you recognize that the person you appear to be in your dream isn't the real you, because you're the dreamer. In the same way, when we live lucidly, we recognize that the person we appear to be right now is not the real us. It's not really me. It's not really you. Because you're the life dreamer, which is dreaming itself to be everyone and everything. Starting to get that picture? Okay. You got to know now. Knowing in the now. Knowing the now. How can we check out the notion that life is a dream? How can you qualify that or verify that? Dreams exist only in the moment they're being dreamt. And to discover if life is a dream, wouldn't you then need to investigate your own experience of the present moment? This is the secret of waking up. This is not what woke is in the common, pop cultural jargon of the day. It's needing to investigate the moment. This is the secret of waking up. Gnosticism is an investigation of the now. To experience gnosis, knowing the mysteries, you need to examine this moment now closely and understand it in what can only be described as a remarkable new way. Focus your attention on your experience of the moment. What is different about this present moment from every other moment that you've experienced or will experience? You've got to look at where you are. Like Yoda said to Luke, never his mind on where he is, where he's going. And you got to focus on the here and the now. There are, of course, an infinite number of things which makes each moment unique from every other moment. But there's something obviously different about the now, the here, being present where you are. The present moment exists. The past is already gone. Like when we do the tarot readings, the card of the past, the present, the future. The current is where you are. The past is where you've been. It's already gone. The future read, where you're going, is what you're going into. But you're always in your current, the now. The present moment exists. The past is gone away. The future is only a possibility, depending on what you do in the here and the now. But the present is a reality you're actually experiencing. To understand existence, you have to pay attention to what exists and examine this moment. The word gnosis is usually translated as knowledge, but it's better to think of it as a state of knowing. Not just attaining knowledge, a state of knowing, gnosis. Gnosis isn't information like the knowledge you picked up at school. Gnosis isn't a theory about life that you can learn. Gnosis is this state of truly awakening that arises when you examine the present moment and you become conscious of what you're actually knowing right now, in the here and the now. What do I know about this moment right now? Where am I sitting? What am I doing? What am I saying? What's happening around me? What am I feeling? What are my senses? What's even a step beyond that around me? Most of the things we claim to know are actually just opinions that we believe. If I were to spew my database of knowledge, these are tidbits of trivia, bits of information, history, all different kinds of things that I've learned. Those are the opinions about what I believe. That's what knowledge is. And to experience gnosis, we need to differentiate between believing and knowing. It's possible to doubt all of our beliefs. It's like Michael R. has said in the chat room many times. He says, don't believe, know. And I mimic that, the same thing. You don't believe something, know something. With literalist Christianity my whole life. I believed something without knowing if it was ever true. Is it possible to doubt all of our beliefs, but to know that what we're knowing is self-evidently certain in the moment? Is it possible to do that? We don't have to give up our opinions to experience gnosis, going beyond belief and knowing. They may be useful, beautiful, valid opinions, but do we need to discriminate those from what we actually are knowing now? It's like, take politics, for instance. You could be on whatever scale on the spectrum, spot on the spectrum you are, and you might believe something because of what you know. But do you know, are you in the here and the now, understanding and knowing deeper? Literalism is based on the belief that history can save us. The basic teaching of literalist Christianity, for example, is that if you believe in the death and the resurrection of Jesus, you're going to go to heaven when you die and avoid hell. But although it's possible to believe passionately that Jesus died and resurrected for our sins, as millions of people do, as I did, it's impossible to know this because it's not happening now. It's history that's been passed on to us by someone else. And all we actually know is what we experience in the now. Right now. Gnosticism is rooted firmly in the reality of this present moment, folks. Right now, here and now. It doesn't teach that history can save you. Rather, it suggests that history could be the biggest problem we have. History is a story that we tell about the past to explain the present. The problem is that when we're busy believing that we know what's going on, we never really stand back from our opinions to look at reality with an open mind. So we become unconsciously engrossed in the life dream. And we don't wake up from that because we've trapped ourselves within it willingly. Now, and that's pretty easy and common to do. Make no mistake, all the ideas about history that we've explored in all these episodes over the last month or more have nothing to do with gnosis. The history doesn't. They're just opinions about the past, looking at facts that happened and basing and formulating opinions on them. Good, well-evidenced opinions, but opinions nevertheless. We can't know them to be true because the past is gone, and all we're left with are the bits and pieces of evidence from which we can put together the belt available theoretical understanding. But now we have to take opinion and leave it behind. That's my laptop. That's closed. I have no idea what it's doing. But funny that should happen right there because we're right at the end of this. That's not an alarm. We're just at the end of the first segment. So we're going to go out for 2 minutes. I'm going to see what's going on with my closed laptop over there that's making that noise. And we'll be back. So hang tight. and welcome back to the Intrepid radio program. This is Scotty Roberts, your host, and you're listening on the Odyssey Radio Network. That's ODYSY1.com. Go over and check out all the goodness that is the Odyssey. And also, while you're there, check out the Federation. I'm going to do a show specifically on the Federation. Maybe tomorrow. It's the organization that really launched Odyssey Radio. And I want to tell you what that's all about. The Federation has everything to do with Star Trek. Yeah, but there's more to it than that. I'm going to talk about that. Maybe tomorrow we'll go into that. But also, today, join me over on the simulcast, over on my YouTube channel, Mr. Scotty Roberts. Join the Intrepid family over there in the live chat room, and let's continue on now. Let's go on where we left off. And we're talking about Gnosis, talking about Gnosticism, and how to pull that into something about being the reality now, experiencing the here and the now. And I want to go into this mystery of existence. Is it a mystery to you? Do we just go through life saying, oh, I exist, therefore I am? Well, that's true to a point. What you're knowing, what are you knowing right now? What do you know right now in this moment? If you pay attention to your immediate experience of reality and you ask yourself this question, you're going to realize that most of what you think you know, you don't really know. And you know what? I got a live call coming in here, so I'm going to decline that right now. Sorry about that, folks. That's what that tone was. It was coming up on my computer while we're doing the show here. Let's get back to where we were. Hopefully they won't just try to call right back. So you have to ask yourself this question, that you're going to realize that most of what you think you know, you don't really know. It's like I used to say, the more shit I know, the more I know I don't know shit. Sorry for the language, folks with kids that might be listening in as well, or sensitive ears. The more stuff I know, the more I know I don't know stuff. It's just funner and more emphatic to say it with the other word. So life is extremely mysterious. What is this moment? What does that mean? What's being in this moment, in the now? What is it to be alive? Completely focus on the now, and you're going to feel a rush of excitement as you become conscious of the awesome mystery of existence. Take a minute and just focus on where you are in the now and the fact that you're here, the fact that you're alive, the fact that you're a pulsating part of life. Just try that experiment. Just in the moment. Be in the moment for a moment. And suck that all in, that energy, and realize who you are, where you are. And I'm not talking weird hippie stuff. I'm talking about being aware of who you are in the now. Completely focus on the now. You're going to feel that excitement as you become conscious of the awesome mystery of existing. Step out of the world of your preconceptions of things. Become conscious of reality for one time, for one moment at a time. It's something most of us rarely do, so when you do this, it can be an absolute liberating surprise. Take that moment and do that. It might feel a bit like meditation. It might feel like you want to look over your shoulder and go, hope nobody sees me sitting here trying to experience the now. Just do it. Try that sometime. Sit, close your eyes or open your eyes or whatever. Clear yourself and think of where you are, the existence you live in now. We're usually so engrossed in the stories we tell about our life that we don't notice something extremely important about our predicament. I've said it a million times in different ways over different kinds of conversations. I've talked about, we all get up in the morning, we all look in the mirror, brush our hair, brush our teeth, take a shower, get in the car, go to work, do the things we have to do, come home, mow the lawn, shovel the walk, interact with our family, all the obligatory things of life, and we go through life, and sometimes we're just very happy about that. But we don't experience that we're in the now. We don't experience the predicament of life. We don't know what's going on. We're so busy pretending that we know who we are and what life is that we somehow manage to ignore the shocking truth of it all. We don't understand life at all. Have you ever realized that for yourself? I don't really understand life at all. We've got friends here in the chat room that are part of the Intrepid family that are experiencing difficulties in life. And those difficulties trap us into not being able to experience the now. We're stuck in that predicament of experiencing the lie about life. We're so lost in our concepts of the life that's going on around us that we rarely give our open-minded attention to the mysterious experience of living here and now, being in the here and the now. We're eating the menu, not the meal. No wonder we so often find life hard to swallow. When we confront existence without our habitual assumptions, we see our beliefs for what they are. They're stories, they're concepts, they're words. And we see that the stories we tell about life are not life itself. If I tell you, I've got a million stories and I love being a storyteller. I could tell you about different things that happened to me. I can tell you about my travel and my experience, my ghost adventures, all of these things that I do. But they're just stories and they're concepts and they're words. That's not really living life. That's telling about something I did. It's words. That's not reality. Life is infinitely enigmatic. The word reality is not reality. It sounds like double talk, but hear me out on this. We don't know what reality really is in reality. The radical not knowing is the first step toward genuinely knowing something. It's, I know nothing. I have words and stories. I don't know things. So the radical not knowing is the first step towards genuinely knowing something. This rejection of theories about life in favor of being conscious of the mysterious experience of living in this moment is the prerequisite for gnosis, for gaining knowledge, for uncovering the mysteries and the hidden knowledge. Most people have experienced at least brief moments when they found themselves catapulted into the mystery of the moment. Anything can trigger this. Often it's when you confront death, or when you confront illness, when things like those things hit you. Someone close to you dies, or you're diagnosed as being seriously ill, and suddenly you're face to face with the fact that you really don't want to know what life is. You want to live in the dream, let alone knowing what death is all about. Or it might be a moment of exquisite beauty which does it. You fall in love. You don't remember what that was like? First time you realize, I'm in love with this person. What that felt like. You lived in that moment. And the rest of your life, it seems you want that moment back. It's not that you don't love throughout your life. It's that euphoric moment, that living in the now of that moment. It happens and it's gone. So sometimes it just happens to us and we don't even realize we're doing it. When your child is born. That's what it was like for me when my first children were born. I wasn't supposed to be able to have kids. All of a sudden I had twins. Boom. You imagine that euphoric moment of realizing what life was. And I didn't even know any of this stuff back then. So it might be a walk in the mountains, or feeling the sun warming your back, or it might happen for no obvious reason at all. Whatever the apparent cause, most of us have had moments of overwhelming wonder or overpowering terror in which we've suddenly become conscious of the awesome mystery of existence. Now, if while listening to all of this stuff, you've been able to put your opinions on one side and become conscious of the mystery of this moment, you'll have already experienced a radical shift in consciousness, even if it's just for that moment. It's going to feel as if you previously existed in some sort of semi-conscious trance in which you were so mesmerized by your ideas about life that you hardly noticed how miraculously strange it is to be alive. I'm alive now, in this moment, suddenly. What I know about life or politics or religion or anything else becomes secondary to realizing who I am and where I am and that I'm in the now. How mind-blowing is it that you exist at all? Think about that for a second. Take that as a thought. Take a minute today. Look over your shoulder, make sure nobody's looking. Close your eyes and dwell for a minute on how awesome it is to actually exist. That's mind-blowing when you think about it. You're going to realize how astonishing it is that you usually are oblivious to this. And you're going to realize how unconscious you normally are. So, if you become conscious of the mystery of the moment, of the now, you're going to begin to understand why the Gnostics compare life to a dream and gnosis to waking up. Are you awake? Are you in the process of waking up? Are you trying to find what it means to wake up and live beyond the dream that we live in, the dream state? And it's just a metaphor because it's real, it's tangible. When you do this, you're going to feel as if you've woken from some sort of unconscious stupor. It's like it's going to be, whoa, mind-blowing. This is where I am. You're going to have begun to rouse yourself from the collective coma that we mistake for real life by becoming conscious of reality itself. You're going to understand why Plotinus taught it's as if we sleep through life and take the dream world on complete trust. You get that? When you think about that, we take the world around us on complete trust, and we don't live in the moment and understand our existence. So the key is, one of the keys, is know yourself. If you free yourself from the prison of your opinions and you come into the mystery of the moment, you're going to enter a state of profound and liberating doubt. Then you're going to be able to examine your immediate experience with fresh eyes. Hi, baby. I love you too. Take that moment. If you free yourself from the prison of your opinions and you start understanding the mystery of the moment, you're going to start entering a profound state of liberating doubt. Then you're going to be able to examine your immediate experience with fresh eyes to see if there's anything about which you can be genuinely certain. And that's a place I reached when I started doing this, was realizing I'm not certain about anything. Is that a good place to be? Yeah. We can't do this without... You can't build muscle without breaking it down in the process. We've so set our neural nets, as they say, about existence and the things around us, that's our net. That's what saves us when we fall. Got to break through the nets and free fall. You have to do this for yourself. Nobody can do it for you. All somebody can do is talk to you and say, this is how you do it for yourself. You have to do it for yourself. But we can only point out things about the nature of the moment in ourselves that we may have missed. And this might lead us to appreciate the moment in a radically new way. You have to bring yourself to attention. Some things about which you are absolutely certain right now are the things you've got to bring into the forefront of your mind, and becoming conscious of these simple certainties is the state of gnosis, or knowing. I had a flash of it just now when my little girl came in and said, "I love you." Flash of knowing, living in that moment. What are you knowing right now? Ask yourself. And I'm asking you, what are you knowing right now? If you focus your attention on the mystery of the moment, you're going to feel profoundly alive. Because you're going to become acutely conscious to the fact that you are. Period. You are. You're going to recognize something about which you're completely sure. You exist right now, in this moment, in the now. This is not an opinion. It's self-evidently true. And it's beyond doubt. It's something you're knowing as your ears are hearing this or your eyes watching the video or whatever. There's one thing which is always in the now, which is always now. You are always now. But what is this you that is always now? Gnosticism is an exploration of what you are in this moment. Above the famous pagan oracle of Delphi were written the words, "Know yourself." We've heard those a million times. Know yourself. This is the perennial Gnostic challenge. The Christian master Sylvanus urges us, before everything, know yourself. So the question I ask you, and I ask myself, who am I? Who are you? The common sense reply is, I am a person. Suddenly I had a flash of that old Richard Harris movie from the 60s, A Man Called Horse. I am not an animal, I am a man, he said. So what are you? The common sense reply is, I'm a person. But this is certainly what you appear to be. This is certainly what you want to be. But the Gnostics suggest it's not what you really are. And man, we're limited on time. I should be almost out of time right now. In this moment, you know that you exist. And you also know something else equally obvious and just as profound. You know you are experiencing something. So if you're not experiencing anything, you'd be unconscious. And you wouldn't know that you exist. So you know that you're an experiencer of experiences. You're aware, witnessing a flow of experiences that we call life. In the Gospel of Thomas, Jesus promised this. It's one of those apocryphal Gospels that were taken out. He said this, I will reveal to you what no eye can see, what no ear can hear, what no hand can touch, what cannot be imagined by the mind. What is it that you can't see, touch, hear, or imagine? It's awareness, which is witnessing the seeing, hearing, touching, and imagining. Being there, in the moment. The message of the Gnostics is that if you really come to know yourself, you're going to come to being awake and being aware. And what is awareness? You can't experience awareness with your senses or your imagination, because it is what it is, witnessing your sensations and imaginings. The pagan Gnostic, I could never pronounce his name right, Porphyry, P-O-R-P-H, Porph, Y-R-Y, Porphyry. He taught this. He said, what lesson have we learned from those who best understand the human condition? Surely that you must not think of me as this person who can be touched and grasped by the senses. But my true self is remote from my body, without color, without shape, not to be touched by human hands. Plato teaches that to wake up, we need to distinguish the ineffable, the unchanging presence of awareness from our experiences, which are always changing. Examine the reality of right now. What are you experiencing? What you are experiencing is never the same from one moment to the next. Awareness is the permanent background of the flux of experience, which witnesses all the changes. It's the same now. And now. And now. It's the presence which is always present. The you which is always now. So you look at it as I and it. I'd like to suggest that you have a dual nature. You appear to be a person, but you are awareness. What I'm pointing out is actually fairly obvious. You're both an object and a subject. Objectively, you're a physical body, a thing in the world. But subjectively, you're not a thing at all. You are awareness. You could call it energy. Lucid living is recognizing that you can see yourself in two entirely different ways in this present moment. You're both an I and an it. Focus on the reality of that. Focus on the reality of this moment. Discriminate what you are from what you appear to be. You can do this by looking at the world around you, too. Look at it and focus on what it is and what it appears to be. So what you appear to be is constantly changing, but what you are is never changing. Your body is in perpetual motion. Your thoughts are constantly coming and going. Over your lifetime, the person you appear to be has been transformed almost beyond recognition. Physically, I don't look anything like I did when I was 6 months old. But you don't have the sense that the real you is the same now as when you were 18 or 8. What is this unchanging self? It's like I like to say, I'm aging, but I'm still the same person I was when I was 19. I've learned a few more things along the way, and I've matured along the way, and hopefully gained some wisdom and insight along the way, but I'm the same person. I'm unchanging in that self. It's the witness of your ever-changing appearance that is awareness. We experience the knowledge of being aware as the feeling of I am. I am. It's like the old say, I am, therefore I exist. If you examine your sense of I am, you're going to see that although obvious, it's completely indefinable. There's nothing you can say about the I except that it witnesses all the changing qualities of the person you appear to be. Most of us, however, habitually identify what we are with what we appear to be. And we believe, I am the person. I'm out of work. I'm a loser. I'm growing old. Therefore, I'm foiling. We identify who we are with what we appear to be. So, as an experiment, try this. Let go of the idea that I'm a person and discriminate the I that you are from the person you appear to be. Who are you, the I versus the it? Experiment with that one for a minute. When you dream at night, you have two aspects to your identity. Your apparent nature is the person you appear to be in the dream, but your essential nature is the awareness within which the dream is arising. Lucid living is being conscious that you also have two aspects. Two aspects to your identity, right now, this moment. Your apparent nature is the person you appear to be. But your essential nature is awareness, which is witnessing all you experience. Right now, just as when you're dreaming, you are aware, you are awareness, appearing to be a person. When you're absorbed in a dream at night, the experience can sometimes seem terrifyingly real, because you believe yourself to be your dream persona wrestling with your dream dramas. And you're unconscious of the fact that you're the dreamer. In the same way, when you're engrossed in the experience of living, life seems very real because you identify with your life persona wrestling with your life dramas. And you're unconscious of the fact that you are awareness. Starting to click? If you become conscious of your essential nature as awareness, your appreciation of reality is going to be profoundly transformed. You're going to see that the person you appear to be is not your essential nature. It's what the ancient Gnostics call your idolon, or eidolon, E-I-D-O-L-O-N, idolon. It's an image or an appearance. It's your apparent nature within the life dream. If you recognize this, you're going to understand why Plotinus teaches those who identify the body with real being are like dreamers who mistake figments of their sleeping vision for reality. So waking and sleeping. Now we've only got a couple of minutes left here. Let's see if we can get to this. It might help all of us to differentiate our essential nature from our apparent nature. If we consider our everyday experience of waking and sleeping, when you go to sleep at night and wake in the morning, you appear to be a body that's sometimes conscious and sometimes unconscious. That's how it looks to others from the objective it perspective. But that's not how it is for you from the subjective I perspective, the I versus the it. What do you actually experience when you go to sleep? When you sleep, your body and the world disappear from awareness and you find yourself in a different world in which you might appear to be a different person. This is a state of awareness we call dreaming. And then the dream world disappears and you don't experience anything. This is the state of unconscious awareness. We call it deep sleep, in which you don't exist as a person at all. And then you wake up and the body you appear to be now and the world it inhabits reappears. So from the objective it perspective, you appear to be a body that's sometimes conscious. But from the subjective I perspective, you are awareness, which is sometimes conscious of a body. From the it perspective, you appear to be a body within the consciousness where it comes and goes. But from the I perspective, it's the other way around. Your awareness within which the body comes and goes, and you experience this every day. And I got to squeeze this in and see if we make time. When you identify with your dream persona in a dream, at night, you become engrossed in the dream. But if you become conscious that your awareness imagining itself to be your dream persona, you start to dream lucidly. So in the same way, if you identify with the person you appear to be right now, in the here and the now, you're going to remain lost in the life dream. But if you become conscious of your essential nature as awareness, you're going to start to live lucidly. Then you're going to understand why Plotinus taught the true waking is not of the body, but from the body. You wake from the body. Anything else is just a passage from sleep to sleep. There we are. We're at the end of the show, folks. We're out of time. 23-hour break. See you here tomorrow night. Have a good night.